Good morning, traders. TGIF. Today is Friday, November 5th. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders. I cannot believe the momentum in this market stream. Holy freaking moly. All right, guys. Well, we've been talking about it nonstop for the last few weeks that despite the fact that the market is working its way higher on weak and poor references, it is doing so because it is being controlled by momentum, right? When momentum takes control of the market, it will shock you how far they can push it. And this morning, they have done exactly that. So we are opening up with a massive gap higher here this morning. Larger gaps often don't fill on the first day, so that's something to keep in mind. But in terms of the gap fill, obviously the overnight inventory is net long, and we expect some kind of a counter auction to that overnight inventory. We expect some kind of counter auction to that overnight inventory here to the downside. I also assume because this is happening so specifically in the last few minutes, it's probably news generated. Some good news has probably just come out here. So once that news is absorbed, we'd expect a little bit of a pullback. But overall, the first thing we're going to think about is that gap, right? The price from wherever we open down to yesterday's high, okay? The first thing the market's going to try to do is fill that gap. If it fails to fill, if it only pulls down a little bit and then finds support and starts trending higher, that is very, very bullish. If it is able to pull its way all the way back down to yesterday's high, which, like I said, gaps this big often don't fill on the first day, then we look for support at yesterday's high. And if we find it there, that is also an extremely bullish play for continuation higher. And it's only if we start to trade down into yesterday's range that we're really starting to get sort of a neutral or bearish perspective on the market. And then obviously because yesterday was rotational, we built a lot of support in here. So if they do trade down into yesterday's range, I'd be looking for support somewhere in this section right here between like 65 and 59. Okay. But a gap this large is a sign that the momentum traders are still in charge. So likely upside continuation is not unreasonable here once we've absorbed the gap. Okay, there's really not much else analysis we can do at this point. Watch the market open and see, does it continue higher? Does it pull back and try to fill that gap? And if it does, where does it find support? Anywhere it finds support, it is a good long trade for continuation of that momentum higher. We got Okay, we also got a gap on the NQ. Not quite as big, but same story. If it tries to fill that gap and it doesn't make it to yesterday's high, that is the most bullish scenario. Getting to yesterday's high and then finding support is also quite bullish. And only if we start to trade back down into yesterday's range do we start looking for shorts. Mangala, good morning to you. Welcome. Yes, everyone, please smash that like button. Let's get them likes in today. Let's like it on up. For those of you guys that don't know why YouTubers have to beg for likes first thing at the beginning of a video, it hugely affects how many viewers YouTube will bring. So it's absolutely necessary. I have noticed over the last few weeks, I've been getting less and less likes and getting less and less views. So we got to pump those numbers first thing in the morning. So this green arrow indicates the gap right here. We opened, started to trade lower, found support instantly, and are now pushing back up. So that doesn't mean that this is ready to go higher right away, but just the first sign of an attempt to fill a gap found support. So that's bullish. One thing that makes a gap and go such a successful trade early in the day is a lot of times people who were short yesterday wake up, they see how high the market is, and they got to get out of those shorts. So covering a short is the same as going long. It provides upward pressure. David Glass, good morning to you. Welcome. All right, so obviously market internals opening extremely bullish because of the gap. We got to give them a little bit of time to settle before they can give us a better signal. So once we've squeezed out some of these shorts and the market starts to pull back down, then we'll get a better idea if we're going to get a gap and go here. Does the market continue to find support around the open? Philip, yesterday's fundamental numbers were negative and the market took off. Today's job report was very positive, so I guess the market will tank. Well, that must be what it was. Good job numbers. Good job numbers. Yeah, that's why I don't trade fundamentals, my friend. We've talked about that a lot. It doesn't matter whether they're good or bad. The market will just do whatever the market will do. So it's much easier to just trade the technicals. I see what's happening here. I see the momentum. I see that these buyers are desperate to get them long contracts. I don't need to know why. All right, well, this is a gap and go, so I'm going to go bullish, but this is just, everyone needs to understand, this is just on the very, very short term right now. They will likely come back down here and try to fill the gap at some point today. So if the market passes back down through the opening price, that could be shortable for the attempt to fill the gap. But as long as they keep pumping it like this, that momentum can just keep the market charging higher, as it has over and over the last few weeks. So that is to say, I'm not saying jump in long up here. It's just that I'm not looking for a short unless we get below that opening price once again. Naif, good morning to you. Good to see you, brother. Scooball, good morning to you. Welcome. Jose, good morning to you. Nicholas, welcome. Good to see you. Rocket, good to see you. Good morning. J Trader, thank you for the like. Good morning. HZ, are you talking about saying that they've been getting less viewers than normal? That's interesting. That's happened before, where there's been a pattern to it. Knife, not much of a counter auction there. You're absolutely right. Like I said, some of this is just going to be short covering, right? People who woke up and were like, oh boy, I got to get out of my shorts. But this is the moment where it could be new money buying stepping in. Let's see if they can keep these ticks above the zero line. Ray, good morning to you. Def Vader, all trades are scalps until proven otherwise. That's a great perspective. Like if you're going to go long up here for the potential for continuation, keep a nice typed stop like it's a scalp. And then if you're lucky, you can stay in it for longer. But don't let the market pull itself back down very quickly and chew you up. I like that. Aaron, another gap. What a surprise. That's literally how I felt this morning when I saw it. I was just like, I'm not even shocked. Like, what's that? The whole push higher was based on a week, I think it was a week M period low yesterday. Yep. The pullback low that gave us this momentum to the upside was weak. Do I care? Not at all. So used to it now. And lost money? Sorry to hear that, brother. You don't have to jump into trades right away. You can wait till you have more certainty. Bow bow, you're waiting for another song. I can't think of one off the top of my head. It's too early. Freddie, welcome back. Good to see you. Looks like new buyers are stepping in. Getting that FOMO. They got to have it. My friend from Belarus. No worries, brother. Happy to have you. Welcome. Brian, 1,000-point day. Let's do it. I'm not even going to argue. Well, you know what? Let's go to 6,000 today. Charles, what's your entry criteria on a day like today? I mean, you know, if I wasn't live streaming, if I wasn't busy talking to you guys, I would have probably jumped into a long trade right here, just really quickly to see if it got momentum to the upside because of the gap and go, right? It tried to fill the gap, immediately pushed higher. Then it came back down and started to build support. To me, that would be like a fuck it, jump into a trade. Let's see what happens. But I didn't this morning because I was too busy talking. So now the trade setup to me is either the market pulls back down and crosses through the open, and I'm looking to go short for a gap fill, or I get some kind of pullback that finds support. Maybe it finds it here. Maybe it finds it here. That's good for the long trade higher. But I missed it on this one, and I'm not going to FOMO in up here. And jumped into a short, price too high, and outside value area. Well, remember, this is the concept of momentum, right? When momentum is in charge, it will be irrational. It will make you think it can't keep going up, but it will. As long as, as traders will do what works until it doesn't. If every day just buying and buying and buying, the stonks only go up, they're going to keep buying and buying and buying. So you don't want to fight that momentum. Mina, good morning to you. Screwball NQ looks weaker. Let's jump over and take a look. Yeah, I mean, it's not having the same kind of pump, but it's still a gap and go. So same as the ES, if we start to cross back below that opening price, there's potential for an attempt to fill the gap. But as long as we find support in here, the gap and go is a giant, there's literally no more bullish thing a market can do. There's no more clear a signal it can tell you that it is going higher today than when it gaps up and it does not need to fill the gap. That is just a clear sign that it's going up. So don't ignore that. Often the trend days that last all day, the trend days that'll go on for hours and hours, it just keeps going and going. almost always those are on a gap and go. Cotton dog, it's a great observation. You got to go with whatever the market's doing in the moment. Don't assume it has to do something. Don't assume it has to pull back. One thing that's very hard for me that I'm getting better and better at the more time I spend trading is sometimes my feelings of what the market should do are different than the market generated information. And so I'll ignore them. But I'm learning that when the market generated information gives me a signal, even if it doesn't make sense to me, even if I don't understand how we're still going up, if the signal is saying up, I just trust it. I stop fighting it. The chart cannot lie. It is showing us what is actually happening in the moment. The chart cannot be wrong. The chart will do what the chart will do. Okay, so the squeeze and the FOMO might be coming to an end here. We got good taper on the high, and those ticks are starting to trend down. So the market may be looking for a pullback here. Once again, the first potential support is this area where we're at right now, around 04. The next one is going to be just above the opening price, 98, 99. If we start to get back down below the open, we may be heading down to fill that gap. So I would switch my card back to neutral. Okay, Q looks like it's looking for that gap fill. Oh, and they're about to get it. So now we're looking for support right around yesterday's high, where we currently are. If that fails, next support on the NQ will be this area around 1633.39. 16,339. Jesus Christ. My dyslexic brain cannot read these NQ numbers. Rocket got his fifth and final trade. 21 minutes into the trading day. Teach me. I'm so jealous of your life, Rocket. Enjoy your weekend, brother. Fausto, good morning to you. Welcome. If they one time frame up, I'm going long again. That would be, I would completely agree with that. If they can maintain support in this area without pulling back down below the open, that B period prints and starts to trend higher, we could have a trend day that could last for hours. But still too early to make the call for sure. Ticks are trending down. Good taper on the high. So the buyer's got to hold this up here or hold it at the overnight high. Scooball, do you trade NQ sometimes? Yeah, sometimes. As a matter of fact, today is the kind of day where I would. Now, the NQ's not quite moving with the ES, so I wouldn't. But like sometimes on a trend day like this, I'll just buy like an MNQ contract so that I can just leave it running all day long if I think the market's going to continue to trend higher. But not today. Rocket, consider trading the Russell? Yeah, the problem is I've just put in so much time becoming a master of reading the ES that I'd have to start over with the Russell because it does move differently. So I wouldn't have the same confidence in my trades until I spent a year watching it move. Shubo Deep. Hello, Charles. Congratulations on the new all-time high. Well, thank you. Thank you, Shubo. Finally, somebody recognizing that this is me. I'm doing this. Fausto, be ready. They could gap and crap today. Never heard of that one. I mean, I would think even if they filled the gap and they didn't find support right at yesterday's high, I suspect they would inside yesterday's range. It was just a textbook rotational day. So that just built up a lot of support in here. Jitten, good morning to you. Well, Brian, if you're going long for 6 months, you might as well just buy the ETF. Diane, craptacular day so far. The market will give you your chance. It'll give you a good signal that'll make you some money. JIT and the divergence in the NQ and ES is not helping. Yeah, but then if you think about it, as soon as the NQ starts to take off, it's finding support at yesterday's high, so that's still a gap and go. That's still bullish. So as soon as it joins the party, it could really add some steam to the ES, getting continuation. All right, they're finding support here. Looks like they want to try another push. Ooh, but the ticks. Still too FOMO-y for me to jump in up here. All right, so as we print the B period, the next question is, will we start one time framing higher? Will that B period high get above that A period high? Smash that like button if you want us to break the A period high. Start one time framing. Keep this trend going. Are you a bull? Hit the thumbs up. Three bulls in the house. Okay, pour high. The immediate repair, immediately getting 2 ticks above the A period, is slightly more bullish. And it keeps on trending. It just keeps trending higher. It just keeps on trending. Just keeps trending higher. All right, so there's your one-time framing higher, which is bullish. So let's step back and take a look at the market. What are we looking at here? We got a very large gap and go. We had an attempt to pull back down that found support at higher prices. We are one-time framing higher, and value is higher. The only sort of, counter narrative is the ticks, but they are staying above the zero line. So if they continue to trend lower and they start to trend below the zero line, we will expect a pullback. But if they can stay above the zero line, the advancers versus decliners stay pegged up here at these higher prices. We're likely to keep this trend going for hours and hours. It'll just keep on trending. Yeah, keep on trending. Cotton Dog, is this are these hip hop lyrics? I generally embarrass myself if I try to rap. Trading while I stream, that's what I do. Using market generated information because it's always true. Price keeps up to another world, and we will be trading it forever. Wait, that didn't rhyme. From one level to another. Diane potentially seeing 47.24 today. Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. If this momentum continues, the B period will trade higher, the C period will print and trade higher, the D period will print and trade higher, until we finally run out of buyers. Lives, please stop singing. I'm so sorry, bro. I'm so sorry. Naive, please never stop singing. I can't please everyone. Fausto's long the market. Obviously, it's too big a range to have your stop below that A period low, so I think keeping it below the halfback's a good, nice area. We built some support in here before, so odds are if we pull back down, we're going to find support there again, and if it breaks, we're going to need to head lower. So that'd be a good spot for a stop. If one can accept, 7 points of risk. Could I do a Russian rap? In Mother Russia, we trade the S&P. Don't care, it's not our market. We get all we can get. I've never tried rapping in Russian before. I'm so sorry, Lips. I'm so sorry. All right, moment of truth with these ticks. Can we hold them above this zero line, or are they going to start trending lower? Once they start to get below that zero line and stay below it, it's a sign that more sellers are piling on, that we've run out of buyers up here. So once again, looking for support in this node of volume just above the halfback. If that fails, we may have a larger pullback. Both the NQ and the Russell did not go higher this period. Yeah, the NQ does not look as strong as the ES. So they have not started one time framing, but it's still a gap and go. So I know what you're thinking. Well, Charles, you said if the tick started to trade below the zero line, that's bearish. Should I be shorting up here? And the answer is no. You don't short against the trend. You maybe don't go long if you're afraid. If you see the ticks getting below that zero line, you think, well, I'm not going to go long in this. But you do not try to short this momentum. At least I don't, the way I trade. Yeah, it was below zero, but it was just barely below, and now it's pulling back above. The ticks move very quickly, so you got to kind of be patient. Another thing that's starting to catch my eye is the advancers versus decliners here. Generally, if we're going to get a good, strong trend day on a gap and go, they'll kind of just go sideways up here. They won't really pull back. So the fact that they're turning red and heading down is a sign that this might not be a trend day. But it's still just a little too early to officially make the call. Peter, good to see you. Welcome. Well, there you go, Peter. It's proof that it takes all types when it comes to trading. My worst trades are when I trade off the news. But it looks like your best are. So we're all different. Okay, well, good taper on the low within the 30-minute here. It's a sign of running out of sellers down there. Bad taper on the high up here is a sign that we still need some two-sided trade up in here. Yeah, see, Peter, I think that's awesome that you did that. But the way you talk about it all nonchalantly, like, oh, just bought 2 contracts of the NQ, the ES, the Dow, and the Russell, and then just let it like pump. You know, what if that good report was already priced in and the market started to sell off instead of push higher? Then being short 2 contracts in every indices would have been very painful very quickly. So that's why I don't like trading the news, because you never know if it's priced in or not. John, it just seems like it's too high, doesn't it? Um, I mean, couldn't you say that about every time it's at an all-time high? I will say the tempo slowing down here in the B period is a first signal of the momentum coming to an end. Oh, second signal is those ticks are now officially trending down. They're staying below that zero line. So there's your second signal that the trend is coming to an end. The momentum is weaning. Rob misses Donkey. I'm sure he'll be back next week. One of my prop firm accounts? Peter, are you trading multiple different accounts simultaneously? Uh, why not just focus on one? All right, guys. Well, the internals are really giving us a signal that this market is running out of steam. So once again, I'm looking for support just above the halfback, but if that fails, we're probably going to start heading down here to try to fill the gap. I would not necessarily, whereas in earlier today I would have expected support at the overnight high. I don't think there's going to be much below halfback at this point, having spent this much time up here. That's exactly right, Rob. The C period, we're opening in a very interesting place for the C period here in 5 minutes. So for example, let's say we open the C right now and we stayed above that B period low, it would be bullish for continuation higher. But because we're grinding around, if they were to just grind down by a few ticks, we'd know the market's rotational and be looking for a pullback to find support. So the C period will be pivotal here in 4 minutes. Also, these ticks, if they're going to reverse and start trending higher, they need to do it now. You don't get a trend update with a clear trend down in the ticks. You can get a trend update sometimes where the ticks are going sideways, but you don't get a trend up when the ticks are trending down. All right, moment of truth here with this last support we've got from this morning. Perfectly bouncing off that halfback here in the B period. Let's jump over and look at the NQ. Still hasn't started one time framing. B period is still inside of A period. And they're kind of crossing. If they cross back below that opening price, that's a little bit bearish. Although they already filled the gap, so it could easily just go sideways. All right, so there's the C period. Now the thing to watch is, can the C period low stay above the B period low? As long as it can, the market can continue to trend higher. But if it gets 2 ticks below that B period low, so if it gets to like 47.0250, then I'm looking for a larger pullback to find support. So bullish above that B period low, bearish below. Short term. Potential support. By the way, I'm switching to the other stream. Potential support I mean, there's not much. We're at all-time highs, and all we have is this overnight inventory. So if we do get cessation here, next major support is going to be around that 82 level, and then if not, at yesterday's high, around that 74, 75 level. But we don't even worry about that. We don't even think about that until we get that cessation. Because as long as they keep trending higher, they can just keep going higher. All right, guys, and with that, I shall bid you all farewell. Au revoir. Have a great weekend, everyone. If you're a member of the Brigade, I'll see you in the live stream, in the private stream, in just a minute or two. If you're not, you can always join. Only costs $10, and it's a lot of fun. It's just like this, but for the full day. So thank you guys very much, and I will see you on Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone. If you haven't yet, please smash that subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up on your way out. All right, peace.